All right, everyone. We are here with Casey Vandergraaf. I'm glad I said that right, as well as Jonah Bell. Guys, how we doing today?
Not too bad, man.
Doing well. Doing
Thanks for
well.
joining us from sunny Iowa. I appreciate you guys coming on. And as always, the man behind the switches, Mr. Benjamin Johnson.
Yep.
And he's actually on video for the first time today. So look at that, everyone. There's his pretty face.
Yep.
So let's go ahead and start things off, guys.
Just gonna go.
Yeah, my viewership and listen rates just seem like through the roof. That would be fantastic. So let's go ahead and start things off, guys. Go ahead and introduce yourselves individually, and then we'll kind of get into a little bit about each one of you separately after that.
Go ahead.
Yeah, so I'm Casey Vandergraaf. I work at Prime Archery G5 Outdoors, and kind of working in the marketing design. So I'm our creative director, but there's a little bit of crossover there. So have been doing that for about 6 years, and slowly kind of taken on a new little venture with Jonah here this fall, and we're going to start a little YouTube channel called NewGrounds. So that'll be through our own channel now, I guess, but it's by Prime. So we're excited to kind of start this little project together and get the ball rolling.
Heck yeah. I'm Jonah. I grew up in Michigan just like Casey. I moved out to Iowa 2.5, 3 years ago, and just kind of hit the, what am I looking for here? Sorry. Hit the ground running as a freelancer, and just started working with some awesome companies, and Prime G5 was one that was really close to me, and one day we came up with this concept as NewGrounds, and that's what we're running with now.
Awesome. And so we're in relationship to like Michigan, where you guys to Prime, like how did you get your first introduction into that company?
So my first introduction with Prime, I actually grew up 15, 20 minutes from Prime's headquarters there, and I didn't have an introduction really until one of the ATA shows, and met up with Casey, and since then we kind of been boys since then, and started working on some stuff and ran with it from there.
Yeah, well, he had a YouTube channel called Die Hard Bow Hunter before, and it was, locally known, so we kind of heard about it early, and he was shooting Prime before he had a contact with us, so he kind of just saw these sweet videos coming from him right down the street, so it was kind of a no-brainer. It's just like, you're down there doing video, and we're here making bows. Let's do this together,
That's awesome how that starts. I mean, we just talked to Jordan Riley. His episode aired yesterday, and it was very kind of like the same thing. Like those guys were shooting Matthews. They were wearing First Lite, and then next thing you know, they're like working for Matthews, working for First Lite. And so it's like, it's really cool that these companies like Prime and Matthews and all these other companies can go and grab these guys that are truly using their products. And then it just makes a better product for everyone. Like when you truly stand behind something, you're so much more passionate about how you create that content for that brand. And so that's pretty cool to hear you guys say that. And we can't get you too far, Jonah. Congratulations, Mr. Dad to be.
Heck yeah.
Here before too long. And hopefully everything is good. You don't have to run off this episode too fast. But you're pretty excited about that. Month out.
Yep.
Perfect. That's awesome, man.
It's going to be a heck of a fall with that, with the baby coming August 22nd, and then we're running right into the season. So couldn't be more excited.
Shout out to the missus for all the sleepless nights when you're out trying to chase some whitetails.
Oh yeah.
And then Casey, you too, man. You're probably hitting that. I think you got married this time last year. You're probably hitting that 1 year, right?
Yeah, actually the 21st, the day before his baby's due, is our 1 year anniversary.
That's awesome. Well, I'm glad as a man that's been married, I hit my 10th this year, so don't forget that date. It's really important.
She won't let me forget that date. No way.
Awesome. Well, Casey, I kind of first caught up with you. It was about this time last year. I had heard you on a Bo Martonic podcast. I think that was like episode 180, 170, somewhere in that ballpark. You and Mitch Day were on there talking about hunting in Southern Ohio. And then Jonah, you kind of came into the picture a little bit. Bree, our previous social media coordinator, knew that you guys had some past friendship, if you will. And then through Isaiah Dressback, who owns Dressback Outdoors, I believe I said that right. I always butchered it. But down there in Southern Ohio. So Casey, you kind of talk about just kind of your experiences hunting in Ohio. I know you were chasing some whitetails in some public land down there in Southern Ohio, and Jonah, just kind of how you got your introduction with Isaiah and kind of what your connection is to that Southern Ohio area.
Yeah, so I've been hunting the way south in Ohio, the big hill country stuff, for about 3 years. Actually, last year was my first year I didn't hunt it. But there's a lot of big deer in Ohio, and it seems like the harder they are to get to, the less competition you got out there. So,
Oh, for sure.
so Mitch and I, we kind of headed to those hills and put trail cameras up and really took it pretty dang serious for 2 years. He's still going there every year. And it's just a different animal down there. Those mountains are big, the deer are big, and they're tough. They're really tough to hunt. So Mitch and I did that for a while, and then Jonah had a good relationship with Isaiah there. So a few different times I'd go there and just kind of scout with them, put cameras out, put corn. And before you know it, I'm pretty good friends with Isaiah now too. And it's less about the hunt now and more just about all of us. We have a friend from Tennessee who comes up there every year now. Mitch joins us. He stays in camp there, and we're all just, it's more just about being in camp and doing that sort of thing than like the super intense. We save that for a different trip now, especially now that we're in Iowa. That's our more, we're taking it super serious, intense, and then we have our big friend hunt that we're kind of doing in Ohio now.
Yep.
That's awesome. Yeah, and we went down. When was that been? Like, it was November or December we went down.
Yeah, it was late season.
Yeah, it was later season. I think it was post rut. Obviously, he has a huge influx of hunters right there around that rut time, and just like the environment that they have there in their little barn dominium, if you will, with the loft, and of course you got, I think Aubrey's on that picture. For those of you who don't know, Aubrey comment, but I think you guys got that big banner across the top. And I was like, oh, this is pretty cool, because I've seen so many of your videos between you guys and then Chris, filming down there. It was really cool to be there and just see the environment that they have with his sister and his mom and everyone, kind of like family atmosphere, trying to help people out. So it was a really cool experience when we went down. I think when we went, 3 bucks were shot that day.
2 while we were there. The third one when we were leaving was down. So pretty good day down there.
Perfectly.
Yeah, it was like, because God bless Isaiah, but he's not the most talkative folk. And so we were like, we're trying to film some content for, Advanced Outdoors and to introduce our pro staff. And of course, he's not one to give you a really good interview. And so we were like, man, what are we going to film? I know you guys had the same problem with your NewGrounds video, like in terms of like, how do you film that, And luckily we were just so blessed. We literally pulled in and Bree came out and, like 2 bucks were down. And then like literally like Ben said, 1 while we were leaving. So that actually made it cool. We were able to go out and like help those guys recover and take some pictures for them and give them to the clients. I was able to airdrop a lot of stuff to the clients, which they really appreciated. And it was just a really cool experience. And I'm looking forward to going down there again. Hopefully I can hang out. And if you guys, when you guys come down there, we'll have to check it out. So
Absolutely.
So, Casey, you said that you've been in the media for 6 years. Kind of like what was kind of your start? Like where did you get your foot wet? Did you go to school for media, or kind of how all that worked out?
So I actually went to school for graphic design to start, and I needed an internship there. So that's how I started. And then after I got my graphic design degree, I went back to get an advertising and public relations degree. So after that, as I was going through that degree, I worked my way up into the marketing side of things. So, right now I'm handling all of our design, and then part of the marketing. So both degrees came in handy, and they're both more on the creative side. Even though I ventured into the marketing, I'm more of like the digital side of things. So I can figure out where all the cool graphics need to go. But I like making everything from the Illustrator, Adobe type guy. So.
Oh yeah, and you can tell that like I'm assuming that you made a lot of the inline stuff, and so just like if you go to the website right now, anyone just goes primearchery.com or whatever, like all the inline graphics and stuff, it's very well put together. So good work on that for sure, because I mean it made our life a lot easier too, because when that bow was released, we did our little like product review video, and just able to use those graphics and those pictures and our connection with Bree and stuff, like we were able to get the assets from you guys. It just made it a lot easier for us from a retailer perspective. So
yeah.
And then Jonah, what about yourself, man? Kind of where was your start into the media world?
So my start in the media world, probably just after high school, I picked up a camera, and I grew up watching outdoor television, loved it. I'm like, that's what I want to do one day. And kind of ran with it from there. I started doing weddings locally in Michigan there, and that grew to a couple freelance gigs here and there. Started freelancing, and then before I knew it, I was like, man, I'm going to quit my job, move to Iowa, and run with it, So that's kind of what it ran into.
That's awesome. Now look at you. So
yeah.
You kind of led me right into that, man. So I was looking through these questions here. So you both are moving into Iowa now. Obviously, it's the land of giants, southern Iowa. Unit 5 or whatever is like the big dog unit out there. Did that have a lot to do with being the transition to Iowa, or was there more reasons for you guys to head out there? Like why specifically Iowa from in your guys' cases?
So my thought was like, if you want to be a country music singer, you're going to move to Nashville, right? Sure. And I love whitetails. Obviously, I'm very passionate about it. I want to move where the biggest, baddest whitetails are in the country.
That's Casey's smiling because he's like, yep.
And awesome. Doing that, at the time, I wasn't going to be the guy in front of the camera, per se, but it led into doing that, So I was kind of like that center hold for, big deer. There's tons of freelance work available out here, and it's a great place to start.
Awesome. Same thing for you, Casey?
No, mine was, the deer here are a big plus. But no, my wife graduated grad school a few months ago, probably 6 months ago now. Okay. And you're kind of just shopping around. She works at the hospital and kind of a niche job. So we kind of just explored different states to see kind of which ones we were liking and which one. And I knew that Iowa was obviously the whitetail mecca, so we put that on our list, and she went through the whole interview process and got a few jobs, and we had the opportunity to kind of pick between a few, and Iowa was the one that we chose. So Michigan didn't have any for her, so I knew I was going to have to go remote. Yeah. And if you're going to go remote, then let's go to Iowa.
Oh, for sure. Sure. So how's that been, switching from probably being at Prime in the facility to being remote? Like, you do a lot of commuting back and forth, or is it right now with the age that we're in, is it just primarily office work from home?
It's primarily office work from home. I'm actually the only remote employee at Prime and G5. So it's been a little bit difficult just with communication and stuff like that, but we have meetings twice a week. And I work pretty closely with our engineers, so that's more the tough thing, is just being able to like point to objects and be like, we need an icon here, or we need a badge here. It's all over video. So, but other than that, it's great. I feel like when you're not in the office, you get a lot more done.
Yeah. I feel it.
You got less cooler talk, especially because we work for a hunting company and all of the employees are all hunters. So we're always talking about onyx pins and where we're putting these and all of that stuff. And we all want to talk about it, but it is distracting at the same time. But it's fun being around a bunch of hunters, but we end up talking about hunting a lot at work.
Yeah, no doubt. We feel it for sure, don't we?
Yeah, we have the same thing happening.
We have the same thing. Actually, on our way down here, Nate Wood, who's he leads our customer service team on the online side of things, as well as some of our IT work, but he's a huge Mega Meat fan. I think he actually was telling us the story. He shot a doe with one of the Mega Meat heads, and it was like, he's like, you know what? It still looked good. It still looked good, man. Like, because I'm asking him, I'm like, hey, I'm getting these guys on. Like, do you have anything to talk about? Because this is your opportunity. Like, these are guys that want to hear what you have to say. And he's like, tell him I shot 2 deer with the same broadhead, not even sharpened. I cleaned the hair out of it, put it back together, and shot the buck for this year. I was like, they'll like that story for sure, man. So it's like I can't even come down to our podcast room without even actually stopping and talking to somebody.
Yeah, it happens all day long. It's crazy.
Especially if we go to the store. On our team, a handful of us, about half the team, are in the outdoors, but the other half don't really necessarily care. They're just in there for like the marketing perspective. And so we have a conversation between ourselves and like Ben and I primarily. But then when we go to like any of the stores, it's just like, hey man, okay, here's the fish I caught. Here's the, here's the huge bass that one of the older guys in the fishing department had. Here's we have a guy on our archery team that like makes custom, arrows or satchels or hand muffs from
flint
beaver.
Napping and stuff like that.
Like making broad arrowheads from flint. And it's just like, next thing you know, you're like 45 minutes and you're like, I got to film this video. So it's just like, give me a second.
Yeah.
So with all that said, man, like, Casey, like, what's your favorite part about being in the industry? I mean, obviously, you have the opportunity to hunt, you have the opportunity to do things that you care about, but like, what's your favorite part of being like for Prime and G5?
It's definitely the people. I get to meet people that I would never think I had the chance to meet. Yeah. Like my best example is I worked while I was getting my while I had my internship. The first week I was there, we had a full video shoot with the bone collectors. Like, growing up, that's all I watched was bone collectors, and just like get thrown into it right away and meet these people that I've idolized for forever. Is definitely the coolest thing.
That's awesome. What about you, Jonah? I know we'll get into some of your first. Yeah, go ahead.
I would have to agree with that. It's definitely the people, like you said. Most of these people you'd never meet, you grow up idolizing them, watching them, and then you get to meet them. They're just normal guys that want to kill stuff,
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And I think that's. Go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say, is the cool thing for me is meeting people that are as passionate as we are about it,
Yeah, that was a big thing for me too. Like, so I started Advanced Outdoors about a little over a year ago, and I don't have the huge pedigree of being like a family that's hunted. It's something that I kind of picked up on my own in my late 20s. And, just like in the last year, like here we are having a conversation with you guys, right? I grew up watching Prime videos and watching Grant Woods and Growing Deer TV. And then it's like, okay, well, I'm talking to the guys that like can talk to him, or, even something smaller is like, talking to Jordan Riley last week, which we just aired, is somebody that I really inspire or really look up to in our industry in terms of like creating content. And it's just like, they're so obtainable and they're so genuine. And I just love that so much about this industry. Like you can definitely weed out people who are fake, but at the same time, there's way more people that are just so genuine and down to earth. And it's just like, they're just people, you know what I mean? Like Levi Morgan is just a guy, or Yanni Patelis is just a guy, Steve, just a guy, Taylor Coleman. Yeah. Like the list could go on and on and on. They're just people that really genuinely care about what we got going on. So
yeah. And I do want to throw a second thing in there, a thing that I've really enjoyed over the last few years, just on the video side, because I know Jonah can relate, but just like I love following people who are really, really good at hunting, like just from behind the camera. Yeah. Because they're not like teaching you or anything, but you're behind the camera noticing what they're doing and what you're not doing. And I mean, you can always go follow a buddy around, but when you're following like one of the best whitetails around, whitetailers around, videoing them, you pick up on certain things. And like I've never been really exposed to anything out west, and just filming like Jason Madsinger on his elk stuff, like one of the best elk hunters there is. Yeah. Like you get thrown into it and you learn a lot really quick, and I think that's elevated both of our hunting. Yeah, I've
definitely stolen a couple tricks as far as filming guys in the whitetail woods. You're like, for sure. I'm gonna add that to my repertoire. Like that's definitely a huge bonus to doing that. So.
Oh yeah, and like I said, we just released the episode with Jordan Riley yesterday, and one of his biggest things too was like. One of my favorite things was like being in the woods with Greg Farrell, like being in the woods with all these guys, Levi Morgan, like, Mark Kenyon. I mean, like obviously you guys have a connection now with Mark Kenyon as well, but like just picking up like all these little things that these guys have acquired over their years of experience and just taking that to your advantage, making that little mental note as you're filming these guys, just like better your game for sure. So, the other thing I think that you guys have a lot of credit for it too, and you guys are helping the industry, but I do like how the industry is going into more of a like cinematic look. We've kind of gone away from the I hate to say it but this way, but like the redneck old school hunting videos, that are just like kind of wild, to more of like a cinematic film. I mean, Jonah, you have a lot to do with that. Obviously, we'll talk about your most recent video here too. But Casey, I mean, like the videos that you guys just created for the Javelina hunt, like that was a really high quality video, and I love seeing how the industry is continuing to push that. And you guys, take a moment, because you guys definitely have a big part of that as well. So.
Appreciate that.
Thank you. Yeah, equipment just keeps getting better and better, and I love it because anybody can kind of pick up a camera now and create some quality stuff. So
and
it's fun. It pushes us to do even better.
For sure, right? Like you guys are pushing me, and then in return maybe I'm pushing someone else, and it's just like everyone's continuing to elevate their game. I I do wish a little bit. I mean, we're Canon guys, Ben and I, but I do wish a little bit we had that 240 frames per second that these boys have with their Sonys.
Yeah.
But it is what it is. Nice. We'll take it.
Casey's still shooting for the dark side. So.
Okay.
Oh, there you go.
We're working on it.
Good on you, man.
Yeah.
Good on
you.
Before we get too far, what's your rig setup look like? Each one of you guys, like what camera, what lens? Do you guys use ND filters, all that stuff?
So I run my main body A7S3. I run that 85, 35, 70 to 200. I have a 70 to 300, 200 to 600. I usually run a shotgun mic. It just depends situation. If we're in the tree stand, we'll have 2 cameras going at least. Probably stash a GoPro somewhere, just to pick up any of that behind the scenes stuff.
Sure. Mm-hmm.
But I guess like my main go-to when it comes to whitetail hunting, if I'm filming him on a camera, I'm gonna have a 70 to 200 on, and shotgun mic on that camera, and then wireless mics on the secondary camera.
Perfect.
Yeah, no, we're hunting together nonstop, so we're pretty much both running around the same thing. But I'm running a Canon R5, and then I've got the RF series, RF series lenses. So, we go back and forth about it. It's one of those things that we bust each other's balls about the most.
The one thing that and I've told this to Ben too, but one thing I really like too, I think Casey, you may have posted a video of a buck like feeding, and then did like the motion tracking, like using the use of motion tracking. I think that's really cool. I think even like the slow-mos of the arrows on whether you're at an attack event or actually on a hunt, like the tracking of the arrow into target, like little subtle things like that your general audience probably isn't picking up, but we definitely appreciate the amount of work that just goes into like a 4-second clip like that where you're tracking that arrow. So you guys are definitely doing really good work. So take it, like I said, take a moment.
Thank you. Thank you.
We appreciate it. So
we're glad it doesn't go unnoticed.
Yeah.
No, for sure. We definitely know how hard it is, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It's not only that, but it's like, you want that, golden hour, you want that good light. Like you just can't. And Ben and I, we have a hard time. A lot of stuff that we have to do has to be after hours, because it's just like I can't replicate the same thing that people want to see between the hours of 8 and 5. You know what I mean? Like it's just hard for us. Yep. And so anything that we're gonna do like that, it's like, well, you want these cool pictures like this, then in the season, you're getting that kind of that golden hour a little bit earlier, obviously. But right now, like to shoot like a summer shot, just here's my morel target. I'm shooting it, with a light or whatever. Like I'm doing that after hours, so it definitely doesn't go unnoticed.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I feel you there. Working at the plant, it was always, we're trying to make all these videos, even, and you're working between. I mean, when the sun's in the middle of the sky every time.
Yeah. We just did one the other day for what was it? The morel target.
Well, we did the PSE video too, and it was like midday. Super bright. We don't have ND filters, so that just made it. We have one that we used for a second angle, but it was kind of rough. Like, but we made.
Well, when you do the Prime video, make sure you do a golden hour.
Well, if we did the Prime video, well, that was the other thing too. So, you guys had all those pictures from Aubrey, and I'm like, looking through the materials and just looking like, as a normal consumer coming in, of course, we use a lot of those materials on our own posts or whatever. But it's like, oh yeah, there's Isaiah's barn, or like these guys right here.
Yeah.
So, you just got to invite us. We'll just help you out. There'll be on Casey's side, there'll be 3 more Canons. So that's a good Jonah. Sorry, man.
It's all good.
It's all good.
So while we're on the topic of filmmaking, I wanted to touch. Jonah. The Jordan Bud video, we talked about it on Instagram briefly, but just go through and tell the story, because, some of the details in the video didn't, like what we talked about, all like getting closed in with snow and everything, didn't make it to the video, but just kind of go through the story of how all that rolled out, because it was an amazing video.
I don't want to take credit for the edit. Max Benz edited that, so... Okay. Extremely well done. But the hunt itself, we flew into Fairbanks, took a bush plane out, and we're in the middle of nowhere. 13 days I think we had planned, and we got on sheep right away. From there, we made a move opening night. Didn't pan out. From there, we got really bad weather. We were stuck in the tent. 5, 6, 7 days. Honestly, I couldn't tell you, but it was terrible. Got snowed in, fogged in, so you can't even glass at that point.
Yeah.
So you're kind of just stuck, in your tent.
Just hanging out.
That really didn't make the film, but nobody really wants to see us stuck in a tent for, that long. And then bottom of the ninth, we found some sheep, made a move on them, and Jordan put an awesome shot on them. So that was an incredible hunt. Coming from, someone that's a whitetail guy going up into sheep country, my eyes were just open so much. I have mad respect now for guys that, that's their passion.
Oh man, and she's an absolute killer. So if anyone's listening to this and you're on YouTube, head over and check out those videos. First Lite's page, I believe, and then I mean, even the video of her, I think it's Kansas or Nebraska, her home farm, like in the little draws and fingers there. Even that video was dope. I mean, it was just like she's a stud, man. She's a stud.
Jordan is one of the best human beings you'll ever meet. Like sharing that hunt with her, we had a pretty good friendship going into that. But now, like, I just photoed her wedding a couple weeks ago. We just have a really good relationship after that hunt, and that's another thing I love about it. Like, you would never get, to experience that unless you actually just got out and did it, and building those relationships.
Oh, for sure. Now, coming from the Midwest and coming from Michigan, did you have any challenges in terms of like the altitude or anything like that? Like, did you experience anything personally, or did you just kind of roll with it?
Luckily, I didn't, and my friends were giving me crap heading into this hunt because I wasn't going to the gym, I wasn't running, I really wasn't preparing for it, and I was like, I'll be fine. And thankfully, the sheep hunt itself, very slow movements, A to B, we're not going a really long distance, Once you get up there and you're there for, a day, 2 days, you kind of get acclimated to it, and from there on, it was a lot of sitting in the tent. So.
Oh, sure. Now, did you go into that? So, kind of referencing on our conversation with Riley, did you go into that with like a plan of like what's going to happen if we don't come back with one and still try to create a content? Because I know that's been a trend in the industry that I think is really beneficial too. Is people are able to tell a story that's successful even with a kill shot or not.
Yes. So we did have a pretty solid outline to film for that, just in case, we didn't harvest the sheep while we were up there.
Sure.
But Jordan and I were pretty determined, and her guide was incredible. We were going to do whatever possible to get the job done. So
awesome. Now, it kind of, you kind of took it away a little bit. So you've had a couple other, obviously with some pictures and, there's another video in there for First Lite. So kind of talk about the process. I know at some point, I'll block my hat for those people, but at some point you were wearing some Sitka gear, and you switched over to First Lite. Kind of how did you get connected with them, and kind of how did that all process become to be?
Yeah, so I'd say probably just over 3 years ago, 2.5, 3 years. I was wearing Sitka gear up until I moved out here.
Sure.
Met a buddy, did a ton of work with him, and he kind of introduced me to First Lite. Had dinner with their creative director at the time and just really hit it off with him. Sooner or later, I started doing, a bunch of freelance work with them, and it turned in, to being part of the family and just not, a freelance field producer.
Awesome.
So that's kind of how that relationship started. And, I love everybody that works there. Everybody is down to earth. If you need something, you can call them whenever. And I don't always, I don't want to say I use products for the product itself, but it's the people that are behind it,
Sure.
Products got to be there.
Yep.
But the people matter.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
People are everything at the end of the day.
Yeah. And I think, unfortunately, they're a direct to customer for us as a retailer, right? We do have some Sitka apparel that we can sell directly here in our stores, but in terms of like a company and like a more of a boutique company, I know I'm getting Ben on the wagon. I think he's pretty much on it now, but that's who I started with too. The End City Limits video with Taylor Chamberlain was the one that kind of like, that was right around the time I was really truly starting to heavily get into it and wanted to get out of just like your run of the mill Realtree stuff. There's nothing wrong with that stuff. It's to each person's budget and each person's goal. You know what I mean? Like I had a bigger goal and wanted to be a little bit, the whole like clothing into gear, using it as like gear. And as a boutique company and a smaller company, I think they by far are my favorite for sure. You know, the new Spectre stuff and all the thought that's going into that, and the guys. This goes back to the people that are being, genuinely passionate about what they're doing. Like all those guys that are wearing it, all those guys that are creating that gear are using it and testing it and truly stand behind it. And so it's very well thought through. So with that, like obviously Jordan's feature, I had the question here. What was your most favorite memory from being with First Lite? But I'm assuming that was that hunt. There's not very many times you get to hunt Doll sheep in Alaska.
Yeah, I would say again, it comes back to the people, and the relationships made on those trips. I did a trip with Kevin Harlander and Max Benz where we went down. We did some filming with Jesse Griffiths down in Austin.
Yeah.
And I was sicker than a dog, but that was probably one of my most memorable hunts. We were just filming hogs over a feeder and whatnot, but one of the best hunts by far. Jordan's definitely at the top of the list when it comes to that. And then one of my first jobs with First Lite was filming my buddy Brad Beaver.
Yeah.
Actually, it was my first night in Iowa with the tag, and he's like, "Let's leave the cameras, in the truck, whatnot. Let's go out and see what happens." And I hit the horns together, and sure enough, his target buck comes running right in. And that was probably a pretty memorable hunt for me.
Yeah.
Seeing, coming from Michigan and actually seeing, Boone and Crockett up and close, like working the decoy. That'll be forever like burned in my head. Like I see it all the time. That's at the top of the list.
That's awesome. We I'm just wrapping up an episode. We had John Eberhart on the podcast a few weeks ago. And of course, he's a goat. He's the legend in terms of whitetail. No one has more Pope and Young deer than him. And I asked him the question. I was like, if you have the golden ticket, where are you going? What state are you going? What time of the year? And he goes, either Kansas or Iowa would be a toss up post rut. That way they're out there chasing again. But he's like, yeah, it's just you can't beat it, especially coming from Michigan where you're like lucky to see 100-inch deer, period, so.
Yeah.
Well, guys, let's go ahead and dive into NewGrounds. And we kind of touched on it, kind of give us the idea, like where did this idea originate from and kind of what are you guys looking to do with this? Like where are you looking to take it?
Go ahead.
Yeah, so it was actually my boss, our CEO's initial idea. So he's always kind of wanted to have his own show.
Okay.
And just to be able to kind of tailor the content around what we at Prime need. So you can throw little tuning videos in there and little specific pieces in there that benefit us at Prime. So that was kind of the initial idea. And we have started doing that and it's grown into kind of showcasing Prime as its entirety. So just like the people that are involved with Prime, like pro staffers, with the dealer video we just did.
Yep.
And then kind of just throw in our hunts and stuff along the way. But it's just to kind of showcase archery in general now.
Yep.
And get people excited to shoot a bow because as much as, crossbows are kind of taken over, it seems like, and there's something different about shooting a compound bow. So to get people excited about getting a deer to 10 yards and that's exciting. So that's kind of the whole mission.
So the archery side of things, one thing, and we're actually going to do a couple videos on tomorrow, but mainly at the end of the day, we just want to get people in the woods and get them excited about hunting.
Yeah.
You don't have to have, a $1,500 bow set up. You don't have to have brand new gear. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just get out in the woods and hunt because at the end of the day, that's all that matters. You're having fun and you're enjoying it.
Oh, for sure. So kind of run the audience through some of the hunts that you've done so far. I know I think the first episode was maybe down Isaiah's, which we kind of talked about a little bit, but you want to kind of run it. I know you guys Jonah, you had some fun down there with a blind, if I'm not mistaken, in that video.
Yeah. Season recap from last year. We started in Nebraska. We hit some public land. We had a bunch of the boys from Prime down there, and that's kind of what we were looking at as far as getting the whole gang together to start the season off on a good note. Aubrey ended up connecting with a buck that he passed the first day. That trip, we're just looking to fill a tag, Same thing this year, me and him going to Nebraska. We're looking for something to get us excited, and we're looking to get on the board.
Yep.
And what we really want to capture with that is just anybody can do it. There's tons of public land. Get out, have a good time,
Yeah.
From there, we went to Ohio, hunted with Isaiah. Opening night, went to the blind. The blind was supposedly sprayed for bees, and there was bees all over the place, and I'm definitely allergic to bees. So that made it really fun. Long story short, we ran to the store, got some spray. One of the bucks came in. Isaiah gave me the green light on, and that was that, So bounced to Iowa. There's actually we'll be dropping Aubrey's season recap video here pretty quick. But Aubrey and I kind of took turns.
Which has a very big deer in it.
A very big deer.
Very big deer in it.
We'll be looking forward to it for sure.
Yeah. I ended up killing November 1st. I was all stressed out, whatnot. I was like, I got to get on a whitetail, and it all came together November 1st. Aubrey jumped back in the saddle in front of the camera, and he didn't end up connecting on a buck in Iowa. Very, very close, multiple times.
An arrow was released.
But, went back to Ohio, filmed Aubrey some more. We did a Coos deer hunt with Ben Denimani, Shed Crazy.
Yep.
We were unsuccessful on that hunt, unfortunately, but
he's a cool dude, man. He's like the most unique guy in the entire industry. Like
he's hilarious.
He's a great dude.
He's so funny.
Just getting out there, to Arizona, like it's funny to say, but it's new ground,
for sure. Yeah.
And just learning that landscape, how the animals move, it's just a completely different ballgame from whitetails.
From one of the best at it.
Yes.
Yeah. Ben's good at it.
Yep. We bounced down to Texas for a whitetail hunt. I was lucky enough to shoot a nice buck down there. Javelina hunt, as you guys just saw, that video just dropped. What am I missing? Anything?
No, I don't think so.
He's getting around.
Yeah, I forgot to mention, we did spend some time in Kentucky, but we were just battling really warm temps early season.
Sure.
We're definitely going to be heading back to Kentucky this year, though. But yeah, that's kind of the season in a nutshell from last year.
So, no, you kind of teased it up. So, you had the prime dealer hunt there in South Texas with the javelina. I'm not gonna lie, man. When that javelina charged you guys after, I think Mitch shot it, dude. I was in tears, man. Like I was in tears because Casey's in the background, like that video for those folks listening from that South Texas hunt.
So South Texas, we got prime dealers from kind of across the country. Some guys are your expert spot and stalk guys, and then you got your tree stand hunters from the east. Threw them all together. Casey took a group, I took a group, and just tried to get these guys in close to javelinas. Everybody's allowed to kill 2 down there, and the fun thing about that is you actually get up on this, or the high top, we call it.
The high rack.
Yeah. High rack. Drive around. You'll see them out feeding on corn. All the roads are corn fed. So you just make your loop, make sure the wind's right, and you go right at them. That's definitely one of my favorite hunts. Like it's funny to say that, but it's super chill.
Well, it's just like you have like by the end of it, I mean, you're close with all of them, and they're all your buddies, and they're all sitting on top of the high rack watching you blow a stalk. And you have to come back with your head down, and it's awesome. Just the guys razzing everybody up, and it's so much fun.
Yeah.
Well, at least you guys weren't using the cheater site, like our buddy Mr. Joe Jackson.
Oh,
Shout
Garmin.
out Garmin. Mr. Garmin.
Yeah.
Mr. Garmin. We actually there's another guy that works with us too. We did like an 80-yard like shoot off and for like $10, and I ended up losing to him. And of course he's like, "Oh, you can't shoot for crap." Blah blah blah. I'm like, man, if I use a computer for my site, I'd be able to shoot 80 yards like no problem too, man. I was like, let's get past 80 where your Garmin can't reach, and then we'll go from there, right?
Well, the thing I've realized about people in Garmin's is they always show up the day of the hunt and sight in when they get there.
Yeah.
And then they
exactly.
then they expect to kill everything they see. So
yeah, in some regard, I give Joe a lot of crap too, but like for here, it makes total sense, right? Like especially like when we talk to Taylor Chamberlain, like for him, like he can't afford to miss in the and I'm sure you guys have seen his videos, but he can't afford to miss in DC. Like the 3 inches is the difference between recovering an animal or not recovering an animal. And so like for that perspective, it's definitely purpose driven. But I'm an Ultra View guy. Shout out Jonah. I know you are too. I know Casey. Are you on the bandwagon yet too?
I am. Yeah.
Perfect. So I like mine. I'm trying to get Ben on the board here, so if you can.
I've got a spot hog. I love it.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's awesome. But yeah, that looked like a hell of a time for sure. And it was nice that, again, that kind of ties back into like the company giving back to, the retailers and kind of letting them experience some of the fun stuff or, for basically, helping them move their company forward. Here's a little fun retreat for you guys to kind of come hang out.
Yeah, it's funny. You go into a bow shop and you're like, oh, this guy's going to help me set up my bow, whatnot. You don't think about it, though. That guy's a stone cold killer. And it's cool seeing that side of it,
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. I mean, I wish we should throw a loop up of, if you guys got a loop, we should throw a loop of Joey shooting it so that we can give the audience on YouTube an idea. Yeah. But, you look at him and he's just like this little guy. He's like, but he's a killer, man. Like, he's super successful every year. He's got big bucks on camera every year. He's super guarded with it. But you talk to me, he's the nicest, calmest, level tone guy you've ever talked to.
Yep.
But he's a stone cold killer
for sure. Top
notch. Yep.
So, boys, what do you got looking forward to this year? Obviously, we're a couple months from season yet. A lot of summer scouting, a lot of summer prep. You said you're going to Nebraska. Is there anything else that you got to look forward to that you can share with us?
Yeah. I think right now we're just really trying to dial in. We got a couple pieces of private ground that we're going to be hunting in Iowa this year, as well as all the public stuff I've kind of been pinning away the last couple years. So the biggest thing for me, and I know him, we're just so excited to get these private farms set up and just kind of stay out of there and see what shows up on camera. And so far it's been pretty good.
Yeah. Being a boy from Michigan, I'm just sitting there on my phone refreshing the Tacticam app will open. Some shows up. But yeah, it's been fun so far. The farms it's a lot different than Michigan. It's fun and I've only been a public land hunter. So to kind of have leases and be able to work ground is completely different than what I'm used to, and it's pretty fun. It's a lot of work, but it's fun.
It's a lot of work.
Definitely. Well, this whole episode's kind of been about you guys and about Prime and NewGrounds, but if you can, go ahead and let everyone know like where they can follow you, give all your social media channels, your Instagrams, your YouTube, and then both of you individually too. We'll share all this stuff down in the show notes of the episode, but definitely for those watching, where can they find you?
Absolutely. You guys can find us on Instagram. We're just under _NewGrounds, YouTube, NewGrounds, Casey Vandergraaf.
Yeah, Casey.Vandergraaf is my Instagram handle.
I don't even know mine.
I think it's _Jonah Bell.
Yeah, _Jonah Bell.
Thanks, Casey.
But yeah, and then Prime Archery on everything. We're on every platform in G5 Outdoors. So, But yeah, we're pretty much creating all of that stuff. So
lots of content coming.
Lots of great content coming. And if you're interested in looking at a prime bow, we do carry them in our Hebron, Lebanon, and Obetz locations. We have the inline 3, the inline 5.
We have all three of them.
All three of them, right? Mm-hmm. And so, and of course, you can always custom order different color options, and we can hook up with the guys here and get you what you need. So, boys, we appreciate you coming on today. I know you guys are busy. We look forward to continuing this friendship, and hopefully you guys can smack some big ones. And the next time you're in Ohio, we'll definitely, for sure, we'll link up, guys, and we'll get some pictures and hang out and shoot the crap. So
awesome.
All right, sounds good, guys.
Again, man, I appreciate you guys coming on, and then we'll talk to you next time.
Okay. Thanks,
fellas.
Thank you, man.
All right, everyone, that's all we have for you today. We hope you enjoyed that conversation with Casey and Jonah. If you haven't already, go ahead and check out their content they're creating for NewGrounds and First Lite. They really are putting out some great stuff. As always, we appreciate you listening. Please give us a rating and share this episode with a friend. And until next time, enjoy the pursuit.